Happy Easter. This is Easter Sunday 2020, the 12th of April, and I'm going to show you some of the spring growth on my plants outside my flat. So I'm looking at my Christmas Pippin apple tree, which is coming to leaf. There are some flower buds as well. Along here there's my last batch of daffodils. Now these have actually been in flower for several weeks now in this hanging basket, but they're coming to the end of their kind of useful flowering life, as we see some of the flowers are starting to dry out. Over here is a Tayberry. It's just rooted in that metal tin down there, and that's got several long canes, and hopefully should fruit quite well again this year. I've had it for 2 years before this year, and it's been productive. There's some various things in hanging baskets. There's some fuchsias that are still not looking too great because their first flush of leaves were affected by frost, and oh no, those ones seem to have dried out as well. So I'm not sure if those fuchsias will make it, but there's plenty of time for them to grow some new leaves. I've got some broad beans here which I autumn sowed, and they've come through quite nicely, and they're in flower at the moment, and we'll see if they produce well. Various things in pots. There's some of my peppers that actually came outside about a week ago because they had aphids, and that seems to have mostly cleared up since they've been outdoors, and we've had some warmer days now, so having the extra sun has helped them, no doubt, as well, because they do enjoy sun. There's a few smaller apple trees which I grew from pips, which came from a pink lady apple from Chile, and I've got about 7 saplings. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with them just yet. So maybe I find some kind of rootstock, or kind of find someone who wants to try their own grafting, or maybe I'll try and grow them on their own roots, see what happens for a bit. And here's some sunflowers. I had a packet of sunflower seeds. Some of them didn't really go well being transplanted, but there are a few which are going quite well. And this is my other apple tree here. Is a Jonagold. It's a little bit behind the Christmas Pippin. It's not quite come into leaf really yet, but it is sort of budding out, and will come into leaf soon enough, no doubt. And I do actually have a couple of bluebells in the pot underneath each of the apple trees. Try not to overplant it within the same pot. But I thought the kind of a couple of bluebells might be nice. There's a gooseberry, which is the only one I've got here left, because the other one died. I think something was eating it at the roots. But that one's going to come into leaf quite well. There's my mini greenhouse. On the top layer I've got some Acer seeds which haven't really done anything yet. And below that I've got some various things. There's a few succulents that have been overwintering. There's here we've got some sweet peas. I had 3 different packets of seeds, and a 4th pack which were given to me by a neighbour. And here's the sort of other 3 trays. And again, there's a pelargonium which has been out all winter, and my Agni Molyneux and thornless blackberry, and another set of daffodils which have now sort of gone over. This is actually another pelargonium which has been out all winter. This is the orange scented one, which has nice sort of light purple flowers, but if you rub the leaf it will smell of orange flavour. And over here next to the apple tree I've got another Agni Molini, which is known as a Chilean guava, which is distantly related to the tropical guava, but it's also related to the myrtle family. But it is now in its own genus called Agni, which I may not be pronouncing rightly because it's really a Mapuche word, I believe. There's my Christmas tree. It's starting to sort of show some new growth. Again, I've got some bluebells in with the apple tree here, but that one isn't showing any flower yet. Here's some avocados which I grew from the stones, from avocados from the market. They've been out all winter, and although some of the leaves are looking a bit crispy, it seems to me that they are very much alive and will be coming back into growth very shortly. I've got a few other things. I've got some other chili and pepper plants in various states of health, and citrus seedlings grown from pips last year. Again, they've been out all winter. And here we have some pineapple guava, which is I think it's Acacelowiana is the Latin name, and I've got two of those which I bought last year from, I think it's Kelman Plants, the trade in the market in Truro, from time to time. And this is the overview again. So that's another Agni Molini, which is the variegated version, but I quite like the plain one. Really, it's got some nice sort of variation in colour of leaves, with the new leaves sort of a lighter green. They have some nice white flowers sort of a bit later in the spring, and edible berries in autumn. Well, this is the crabapple tree which my neighbour planted for us here. It's got these nice pink flowers, and I'd also bought some tulip bulbs to underplants around it. I'm not sure if they're in focus. Right, I think this autofocus is working now. And I've also added some dahlias recently that they've just been planted, so you can't really see them. But I've got some other plants in pots here. There's some dahlias that are just coming up again. They've had the tubers left in the planters over winter, and I added some dianthus for interest as well at each end. And again, there's a second one of these planters here with the same planting, and again you can see that the dahlias are starting to come up again in the middle there, and those dry stems are obviously for the stems from last year, which I sort of cut off a few inches above the ground. I finished this video with a view of the tulips again. Which are several different colours and at their best just around now. Thank you for watching.